I was watching Moist Critical. I used to watch him a lot. Before the whole situation of me getting doxxed and put in this situation that I'm in, and then got to go find another place and shit like that. Just like a traveling wanderer, the people of Israel going to place to place to place. But I was watching Moist Critical, and he was talking about how he made $35 million on YouTube. And then I think he made like 4 or 5 million on Twitch. And that's just the stuff that he's talking about publicly. There's no telling about his business investments, his crypto investments, the properties he owns. And he did all of that from inside of his room. I was reading up his story and watching other people doing like videos and video documentaries on Moist Critical. I've seen it over the years. Like I've seen his Draw My Life and all that. And how he pretty much was just a person that pretty much stayed to his room, stayed in his room, stayed to himself, didn't bother nobody. And he was able to make a following online, grow that following. And if you watch Moist Critical, like he does make music, but it's not like, most of these YouTubers, when they get bigger, these streamers and YouTubers, they get bigger. And once they're famous, then they release their music or whatever, and everybody messes with it. But it's not like a serious, like a serious musician, you know what I mean? Or a serious this, that, and the third. He does like multiple things, multiple assets, kind of like KSI, Kai Cenat, and Filthy Frank. Everybody knows Filthy Frank. I mean, I love Filthy Frank. He has some of the funniest shit, man. God, YouTube was amazing then when Filthy Frank was around. God, it sucks that he had to retire, but with the new restrictions on YouTube now, his channel probably would got banned because Filthy Frank was so raw. But then I think now he's Joji and he does music. Basically, what I'm saying is interesting. You can start from inside of your room with pure determination, passion, talent, and a ravenous appetite for success, and you can actually make it. Of course, there's a lot of luck involved, and I do believe stars have to be aligned, and certain entities that are enemies of humanity that causes us insanity, a lot of them pretty much dictate, a lot of things as well. Because there's things you see, but what's going on in the spirit world that determines this person is able to achieve greatness at a young age or achieve this, that, and the third, and this person remains economically stagnant, emotionally immature, or emotionally insecure, or not sure of themselves. And especially if you're over the age of like 25 or in your 30s or something like that, when it's like you still haven't discovered yourself, you still haven't found yourself, you haven't found that right true path in life that sparks the flame inside of your soul. And then you wonder why a bunch of men are wandering around life aimlessly, no real passions and no real depth and no real security in their soul. There's a mutiny within a lot of us, in a lot of our spirits. There's a mutiny against this oppression that we call everyday regular life, where everything's tied to the monetization systems, tied to the banking. Everything's about money, 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 point blank, period. And it doesn't matter how many times you go to church or how many times you believe in this or how many times you go to any type of religious event. I hear Muslims talking about certain religious events. I hear Jews talking about certain religious events. At the end of the day, money is the fomentation and formulation of everything. Without money, you wouldn't have the temple. Without money, you wouldn't have the priest's nice clothes. You ever seen the Pope's clothes and how much they cost and all that? And, but I find it fascinating how certain people are able to achieve impossible things. I mean, Moist Critical, $35 million just on YouTube. And he was saying how streaming is like the easiest job. You get paid to play video games and talk about anything that you want. And of course, it wasn't overnight for him. I mean, it was from 2000. I think he started 2007, 2006, but he kept at it. And notice his channel never got banned, targeted, or doxxed by trolls or nothing like that. He's just being him on the internet, the same that I was. I'm just being me on the internet, or just talking about, things that I go through in life as a visual diary. And you got some people that they just take things too far for no reason, and nothing will happen to these people. Well, I'm in the process of finding out everybody involved in the doxing. That's why everybody's scrambling now. You know what I mean? They must have got the message from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is interesting because I put that out, about a couple of months now. Like right when it happened, I filed a report. I got everybody who I knew was involved. You can say whatever you want, but what they did, these people don't live in the same country as I do, and some of them live in different states. I can't get to them physically. And rather than get on, I don't know some of these people, I don't know how they look like, They know how I look like, but they won't say nothing to me in real life. You know what I mean? They play it cool, or they just not gonna say nothing, To them, it was just funny to see some guy on the internet and try to attack them, but it's neither here nor there. The focus on what I'm talking about today is how it's amazing how some dreams become reality. It's amazing how some people can actually dream of something and it comes into fruition. But there's so many people who fail that mission. On the battlefield, there's a lot of soldiers, a lot of frontline troops, a lot of regular people, but then there's only a few captains, commanders, and generals, and Julius Caesars and Alexander the Greats. There's a reason why significant men become significant throughout history, why their deeds and their actions reverberate through history. And you talk about it to this day like mythos of legends of old. Talk about Hercules, Achilles, the city of Troy, the city of Atlantis, all these magic mythical things. I'm kind of falling in love with music again, because I had a message, basically much somebody, um, emailed me and was like, "Hey man, woo, I'm gonna send you this, woo, woo, woo. Can you do a verse for me and do a melody? Can you make a beat for me, bro? I'll send you the woo, woo. I'm like, for sure, bro. Bet." And then, I just like playing with this like new VST or whatever, and I just kind of just freestyle a little something that's here in the back, and I was like, damn, I actually sound good. My voice actually sounds good. I never really realized how good my voice actually sounds. It's not bragging or boasting or none of that. It's just like, wow, it sounds good to this beat. Like, there has to be a way I can make money from this. You know what I mean? And actually make a substantial amount in an accumulation and retention of economic stabilization that I can actually have a nice route. There has to be a way. There's so many people. There's people that I haven't talked to in years, and they'll hit me up randomly and be like, "Hey, bro, how come I don't see you, popping off, bro? It's like you was an amazing rapper. What happened, bro? Like, what's up, And it's like, well, when you're surrounded by legions of demons that are teaming and scheming, it's hard for you to act within reason. Point blank. Period. Like I said, man, you have to be around the right people. Right now, if I was around the right people, I would not be in this situation. I have somebody like, "Hey, bro, fuck all that, man. Hey, man, come write some songs for me, bro. Hey, come do that. Hey, make this melody here. Do the woo, you know." And just being around the right people can change your life, man. That's something I want to emphasize, guys. You know, being isolated, devastated, and being a hermit, it has its benefits. But at the same time, it doesn't have benefits because when you really want to elevate, it's better to find people that are doing something that you want to do in life and get around them. Like back in the days in the mafia, right? You couldn't just join the Italian mob. You got to have the bloodline or whatever, but you can be an associate of the mob. Let's say that you're a Sicilian. Well, they have Sicilians too, but just say like you're of a different nomenclature, a different denomination, a different race, but you're still white, right? Then you'll be like an associate to the mob. Remember that guy Iceman? There's a guy named Iceman. He was a hitman, I think, for the Italian mafia. He has a whole documentary you can see on YouTube. Just type in YouTube Iceman and watch him. And he used to like murder people for the mafia. But he wasn't Italian, but they used him to do the hits. You know what I mean? But if you want to be around the mob, let's say you're a little Italian boy, though, let's say you have the bloodline, you want to be in the mafia. Well, you gonna see these guys in the suits by the Italian bakery. They're gonna be smoking a cigarette outside. You're gonna see the guns or maybe hidden, you know what I mean? You're gonna see the cars, the girl, you're gonna see some cool shit. And you just be around it enough and they see that you're like one of those little boys that snitch and tell, but you just, you know, they see that you're real. They see that you're strong. They see you get like in a fist. Say one day some bullies try to pick on you. You get in a fist fight and you hold your own against three of them, and they come and they stop and be like, "Hey, y'all get the fuck out of here. We're gonna talk to him." And they talk to you and say, "Hey man, hey, I'm gonna give you $20 or $30 every time you see like the police or whatever coming down. Hey, make a noise, make a holler, let us know. You know what I mean? And I'll give you $20 a week, something like that, And then you start hanging around mafia guys, and you start, then you get older and older, and you become a teenager, and you start going on little hits, little drills or whatever, and then you become of age, and you become a made man. They can look and see, okay, he's been solid all these years. Okay, we're gonna check if his family's from Italy. We're gonna send people to Italy and make sure they're really from there. The mafia, they thorough with theirs. They found it, they found a lot of stuff, man. Boxing was rigged with the mob, the music industry, that's why the music industries ran like a mob, all of it, and many other things that you don't know about. But what I'm saying is that just being around those mafia guys and you're Italian, if you keep doing what you're told, you're going to be accepted to become a made man. And once you're a made man, you're in the mob now. Now you're really making big money. Now you can have your other businesses pop off. You got to give the Godfather his share, though. You can get knocked off. But you know what I mean? Just being around certain people and certain elements, they can teach you certain things. When you're around people or when you're around situations and events in your life that seem to take away more than they give away, you have to sit and think and say, how is this activity going to benefit me for the future? And I know a lot of people been trapped in depression, stressing. They got this to pay. They got a test on Monday. They found out their girlfriend's cheating on them, the lying whore, you know what I mean? And they find out that, maybe a girl finds out that her Chad or her Tyrone is cheating on her, which is, of course, But being around certain energies, you see, the world is ran off of ran off of frequencies and energy. If somebody comes at you in a negative way, you can feel their energy. If somebody comes at you in a positive way, you can feel their energy, you know. And I'm a type of person, bro, where I need to be around talented people. I need to be around Taz Taylor. I need to be around Nick Mayer. I need to be around um, Josh Petruccio. You know, Superstar O gave me a shout out, a few times throughout the years, actually, but recently, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Superstar O was like, he's like, bro, no matter what you're going through, man, keep going, man. I believe in you, man. Like, your beats is hard, man. Need a little bit of refinement here and there, but for the most part, man, you got it. Like you can go. And it's like you can't ask these people, hey man, can you put me on? Hey man, can you do, like, you can't do that. That's like what a woman would do. As a grown man, you can't ask no other man for no help like that, bro. You know, unless you know you can pay it back or some shit like that, or even then, it's more feminine to receive than it is and masculine to give, if you know what I mean. It's just, how you can't go up to another grown man, hey man, I need you to come save me. But it's like, bruh, nah. See, women can do that. Women can show their ass. Women can show their pussy. Women can show their titties. Women can show their eyes. They can have somebody save them. You know, like somebody can save a 30-year-old woman. If a woman's 30 years old and she done fucked and ran through a whole bunch of guys in college and high school, whatever, and she gets to 30, there's some simp out there that's going to find her and save her. He's going to have maybe a good career somewhere, or a stable career at least. Due to the inflation, I don't know what's stable anymore with the artificial intelligence integration as well, but she's going to find somebody to save her. When you're a 30-plus-year-old man, hell, when you're a 20-year-old, 25-year-old man, no other man is going to come and try to save you. It doesn't matter if you have talent or not, unless they sign you and you're going to be an asset to them. Unless they sign you to whatever production company or sign you to whatever, it's going to be a mutual transaction. You do the thing they want you to do, that's going to help their brand, and then they're going to pay you. And then you get to live your dreams or whatever. See, living your dreams doesn't mean being a multi-millionaire like Moist Critical, making $35 million, making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. You can live your dreams. I was watching this one interview on Producer Grimes talking about Steve Somatics. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's kind of low key, but he's talking about how he makes, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he was just saying like it was just so easy, and it's just like, bruh, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. But I also believe there's invisible gates, invisible destinies, and certain people are allowed to achieve certain things, and others are allowed to remain in certain positions. That way, their loose energy is harvested and accumulated. The world always has more than what meets the eye, point blank, period. In a world of lies and deception, truth is a powerful weapon.